Maricia Ditchin. Now it's 20 years now. 20 years. I was kind of lost. I know I thought I had it all together. I was about 14 when I was first introduced to Jesus, kind of introduced to him. 15 is when I surrendered to him. But I just thought I had it all together. I mean, I was 14, right? So I knew everything. And I had just lost my mom at 13. And she had bestowed upon me a lot of worldly wisdom. And so I thought that between what my mom told me and what I already knew, that I was good to go. She was an interesting lady. She taught me a lot of good things, but one thing about my mom, she was a beautiful woman, and she was a little vain, and so she kind of taught me that it was important how the world saw you, and she was very big on my appearance. It was very important to her that I was always being pretty, and it was more like a physical thing. Like she defined herself by her outer beauty, and so that's kind of how that's how she wanted me to define myself. So I was caught up with that part. And then she was, I guess you would call her a free spirit. And she experienced a lot of things. And so her thing was she wanted to be the cool mom and tell me all about it and kind of tell me that it was okay to be a part of all of that. And so I never really knew that the things that she was involved in were probably not good choices. So my parents, like I said, my mom was a free spirit. My dad was kind of too. They were partiers, man. I grew up in a party household. I didn't know drugs were bad until like Red Ribbon Week started at school. And so I just grew up thinking that everybody's parents partied and smoked pot and drank and did all kinds of drugs. I thought it was normal. And my mom was very sick from the time she was 7. She was a type 1 diabetic, and so she had a lot of health problems. So she had a lot of anger with that because it kept her from doing a lot of things. She wasn't supposed to have me, so I was kind of a miracle baby, and she almost died. I almost died, and so she had kind of anger issues. She was kind of angry. She was angry at God a lot of the times, and she always would say, "Oh no, my God did this," or she would question. And so I just grew up kind of with that anger and then like the party environment, and yeah, so I grew up. I mean, there were good times too. Yeah, there were good times. I mean, even though everybody was partying, I mean, I had all my cousins and we had a lot of good stuff going on. I was raised in a Catholic family though, so there was some spiritual stuff that I was taught and brought up with. And, I learned all the prayers and the rosary and. I remember being 13 and I thought she was old. So I thought, oh, okay, my mom died, she was old, but now I'm going to be 35. That's not old. So, yeah, when she died, it was weird because my whole little life always revolved around taking care of her. I didn't really get to do a lot of stuff. I didn't get to do sleepovers, birthday parties, anything, because I was always taking care of my mom. Always, I would miss a lot of school to go to appointments with her and to help her with her medicines, and so when she died, it was weird. It was weird. It was like a part of me was like almost relieved, and a part of me, of course, was really sad. And then there was the guilt from feeling relieved that I didn't have to take care of her anymore. So it was a weird time for me. Yeah, and then getting to know my dad again. He didn't know me, and I was the 13-year-old girl, strong-minded. All these thoughts planted in my mind from my mom, and she told me that I had to be someone that would speak my mind and don't let people walk all over me. And so I was speaking my mind, and it clashed with what my dad thought I should be. So my mom died when I was 13, and my dad was single. He was widowed. And so he started getting into the dating scene. You know, I encouraged him. I think it was just because I didn't want him in the house. So I'm like, Daddy, go find yourself a woman. And so he had some different women in his life that he was dating, and he would go and, you know, go to the clubs and do all that thing. And I started working in dialysis, and my mom was on dialysis, and the nurses who trained us told him about an entry-level position. He was actually going to school for nursing at the time. So he started working in this clinic, and he would come home every day.
You're talking about your dad?
Yeah. He would come home every day talking about this crazy Filipino lady that he couldn't stand. He would say, like, crazy things about her, and he'd be so mad at her, and he couldn't stand her. And he ended up, I guess, driving her or being her designated driver or something, I don't know, at a Christmas party. He volunteered that he wouldn't drink and he would drive people home. And so he ended up that was like the beginning of him spending time with my now stepmom. They've been together for almost 20 years now. And she was Adventist. And we didn't know what that was. We didn't even know. They started dating, and he tried to surprise her one Saturday, like morning, to take her to a matinee. And he showed up at her house, and she was Bible in hand and all dressed up. And she's like, you can come to church with me. And he thought she was weird and came home and told me that she was weird going to church on Saturdays and had her Bible. And I was like, whoa, what a freak. And so I pretty much thought that he wasn't going to see her ever again because he was so weirded out by church on Saturday. And then he went with her the following Sabbath. And he came home like it's so cool, and they read out of the Bible. And so of course I wanted nothing to do with it because it was nothing that my mom ever talked about and my grandma ever talked about. So that was like my first introduction. My stepmom took my dad to church, and he wanted me to go. And finally I went because she wasn't going to go this one Sabbath. So he's like, let me take you. She's not with me, I'll take you.